Gemini, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carol, and on this channel my readings center around healing the shadow through parts therapy. I've been on my own intensive healing journey for a number of years now, and I do parts therapy myself. And I was able to, when I first started doing tarot, I was able to apply my parts to the tarot, and so I saw it as a gift after a number of years of peeling away layers of my trauma. And that's what happens when we get into our shadow, when we start to really peel away layers of that trauma, because we all have trauma on a continuum. We'll find that we have some gifts that are buried there for us, it's that are related to our true purpose. They could be small, they could be big gifts. And so you're going to notice also that there's no date on this reading in particular, because I trust that when it comes into your feed, it's meant for you at the time. And so we're going to get started. I have my pendulum out today, and I'm going to pick a theme for this reading. And it's going to be taken from Heal Yourself Oracle cards, healing cards, I guess she calls them, by Ina Segal. And I've used these in a few of my readings, and I just love them because they're just so on point for me. So I'll start off with that, with my pendulum. And then I was drawn to the Ehrenberg Tarot for you. I came to sit down. I have the windows open and the wind's been blowing a bit, but there was one card sitting here in the middle of my table here, and it was from the Ehrenberg Tarot. So I've been drawn for that, and it was the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords in my deck really is a card about, I call it my bullying card, and it can be a card about unworthiness. So I'm wondering if that's going to come through for us today. And as I was putting out this circle here, there was a black spider going up the wall. So I'm like, my head, I'm like, I normally don't like spiders, but it went fast. It was like, it wasn't for me. So I'm wondering if, and maybe it's for Gemini, because I already had decided that this was for Gemini. This was Gemini's reading, and I saw black spider. So, and then the Five of Swords. So I'm wondering, maybe it'll come out. Maybe it's something for you to look at. Maybe the black spider means something for you. So in today's reading, we're going to be looking at, in particular, once I get the theme from this circle here, I'm going to be looking at what issue or situation you're dealing with today, right now, that's related to that theme. And it could be a problem. It could be something that's just happened to you and you're dealing with it, something to do with rejection, or we're dealing with so many things in life, so many emotions that are coming up for us to look at, situations, so many triggers, especially now, what's going on in the world right now. The whole situation can be really triggering for us and bring up a lot of fear. So we're going to look at what's going on. There's a lot of changes maybe going on in your life. Then we're going to look at what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing. All right. So that's, this is what this channel is about. And whatever's coming up from healing is actually going to be what's having the most impact and driving what's happening to you right now. So that's going to be really helpful for us to look at. And then I'm going to ask the guidance. I'm going to ask for guidance from the tarot. And then I'll also give you probably a little playlist from my other channel called Carol Cares. And on that channel, I have videos there to help you out with, things you might be going through with your mental health. There's quite a few videos in there I did, a few years ago. And from time to time, I'll add some more to that. And that just helps me out for this channel now. So let's get started by asking the pendulum here for a theme for what Gemini is working through right now, something they need to look at. So let's ask the pendulum, and I'll hold it still, and it'll eventually show me one card here. So show me one card for Gemini. Here it goes. You see it's circling. I'm not doing anything in my hand here. It'll circle and it'll eventually move. Here it goes. It looks like it's going towards my right hand, which is your left. Yeah, I can see it. If you can, it's going towards this card right here. Whoop. Sorry, normally I'm not that sloppy with it. So let's put that aside. And I'll read your theme for your reading right now. And, oh, interesting. Okay, so you have number 14, soulmate. Open your heart and invite sacred love. Your soulmate is not far from you. To connect with them, you need to open your heart, call them in, and have patience. If you are not ready to accept your soulmate, keep working on self-love. You will be drawn to your soulmate like a magnet and feel an immense sense of familiarity, like you've known them before. Your capacity to love will increase dramatically and you will experience higher states of consciousness. No one can touch your heart in the same way that a soulmate can. It is important to note that your soulmate will not necessarily be your partner. He or she may come in a completely different form than you have imagined, but they will offer you incredible wisdom, growth, and expansion. Be aware that we connect with our soulmates when we are ready to truly evolve and move to the next level of consciousness and life experience. We attract them into our lives when we need to open our hearts fully and learn about unconditional love. It's a powerful card for you. So we're going to look at what's blocking your ability to truly evolve and move to the next level of consciousness. It is what I have a little cheat sheet here. And that's what's important because, you know, you're looking at opening up your heart and inviting that sacred love in your space. And so let's look at what's blocking you right now from what's blocking your ability to truly evolve and move to that next level of consciousness for you. And that's about opening your heart right now. So let's get to the Ehrenberg Tarot. And let's ask for what situation or issue is Gemini dealing with right now. Yeah, there we go. So you have the Seven of Swords in reverse. And what's coming up from Gemini's shadow that needs healing? So what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing around the Seven of Swords? One card for that, please. Two of Cups in reverse. And what guidance does the tarot have for you, Gemini? What guidance does the tarot have for you, Gemini, around this situation? Looking for one card. Looking for one card for guidance from the tarot. And you have the Nine of Pentacles. Okay. Now, I think I'm going to bring your soulmate card down here, just so that we remember. And let's look at the Rider-Waite. So can you tell me more about the Seven of Swords? Couple cards to clarify. We got one there and one over there. So you have the King of Cups and the Seven of Swords. Again, clarify it. So you have a Seven of Swords to clarify a Seven of Swords. So we're going to really pay attention to that Seven of Swords when it clarifies itself. That's powerful. Two of Cups in reverse. Can you tell me a couple things, two more cards to clarify that? Tell me about the Two of Cups in reverse. One here, and that one wanted to try that again. One more card. There we go. All right, so you have the Six of Swords and the Strength card, and this is sitting in your shadow right here to clarify the Two of Cups in reverse, and the Nine of Pentacles. Couple cards for that, please, from the guidance from the tarot here. I'll get one card there and another card. So sideways position, first of all, you have the Nine of Swords. So we're going to keep that sideways. And then we have the Fool card in reverse. So let's begin. Again, we're looking at the theme here. So what's blocking your ability to move to the next level, how to open up your heart and invite sacred love in, you know, your soulmate, that person that doesn't necessarily have to be your partner. Like, you know, if you're watching this and you have a partner already, it's just like somebody that, it might come in as a friend, it might come in as a colleague, you know, it could come in, you know, as, we don't know, but we have to be open to it. So let's start off with what situation, issue you're dealing with right now. And here's the Seven of Swords in reverse. I love the Seven of Swords in this deck, and maybe that's why I've been called, you know, to use this deck, because it really brings on a different meaning for me. Not so much different, but let's talk about the Seven of Swords in particular, because you've got it twice here. So in an upright position, this card talks about the Seven of Swords is often called the Thief card, because we have to understand what Swords energy is. Swords energy talks about our mental thoughts. You know, those things that we spin on all the time about? And we continue to say them over and over in our head. And it gets to a point that, you know, that's what you believe about yourself. And they're beliefs that people gave you when you were younger, you grew up with, and you continue to spin them in your head. And then because those beliefs about yourself that were handed down to you when you were younger and they're not yours, you grew up putting on this mask of sorts because, well, that wasn't you. And so all these things, you know, represent that you were told weren't true. And so you put on this mask because that's what people told you to be. And it's in reverse here, because I think it's like, I think you're realizing that, who am I behind this mask? And you're starting to peek out from this mask, and you're starting to realize, like, is there a different me out there? Who am I? It's like you want to find out. But it's in reverse here because I think there's a fear. I think there's a fear on your part to take off that mask. And I remember when I, you know, especially at the beginning years of my healing journey, really extensively, and I mean, I'm still on my own healing journey, and I always will be for my own complex trauma. I was scared to find out, you know, if this is who I was, like, is this who I thought I was? Like, what's behind that? And it's a scary thing when you start to lift off your mask. And bit by bit, right? But underneath you have the King of Cups. And so here you are with this fear of, you know, taking off that mask and wondering, you know, maybe I want to go towards my authenticity and find out, you know, who I really am. Well, you've got this king coming out. And the king in my deck represents what I call my controller and your controller. And mainstream psychology likes to call it our ego self. But a few times I slip up, and I was calling it my controller in my readings, and I just finally went, you know what? I gotta just, you know, give into this and call it, I'm doing parts. And so let's call it the controller. Let's call it what it is. And I love the name controller. It's the part of us that really tries to keep us safe. And it's the part of us that when we were younger, was our protector part. Like it really tried to keep us safe because we weren't in a safe place for some of us, for a lot of us. And so it's the one that continues to try to keep you safe, because our controller doesn't realize that we're not a child anymore. We're not an adolescent anymore. We're an adult. And so it'll keep on repeating those same patterns and same, you know, behaviors that it did when we were younger. And so it's coming out right now, and it's the King of Cups, and it's like, don't you dare go near any of these emotions that are coming up for you right now. And I know that there's some emotions. I mean, you have this big fear coming out, and believe it or not, our controller part is a petrified part. It does not want to touch any emotions. It believes in status quo. So there's a part of you that's wanting to kind of peek out from this mask and go like, who am I behind this mask? I'm feeling like I need to go towards my authentic self. And you've got your controller going, don't you dare go near that. It's petrified. It's saying, don't you dare. It wants you to stay exactly where you are. It doesn't want you to rock the boat at all. And then you get the Seven of Swords in an upright position, right? And you're hearing all these things in your head that you would have heard when you were younger, that, who do you think you are? What do you mean you want to go and heal? What do you mean you want to start to go towards your authentic self? And so it's really going to kick in what all these people, your caretakers, your authority figures when you were younger, all those thoughts that you heard, like, who do you think you are? You think you can do this? Like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? And so that's what's going on with you right now. And you're, so what's coming up from your shadow that needs healing around this? Who do you think you are? What do you mean you want to open up your heart? What do you mean you want to find out who you are, right? Call in your soulmate. This is crazy. Well, in your shadow, which is what drives and has the most impact on this, and this is what's really fighting here. Like, what is it? Why does your controller consider this to be dangerous for you to do this? And it's because there's something here that needs healing around this. So Two of Cups talks about in an upright position. It's just the beginning of the cup suit, right? And there's 10 cards in the pip cards. So we're just at the beginning here. And there are these individuals that are clinging their cups. It's like clinging to this new relationship that they have. But the Two of Cups is not about a relationship with another person. The Two of Cups is the beginning relationship with yourself. It's a very intimate, vulnerable relationship that we begin with ourself. And it's in reverse here. And so when you were younger, when you were really young, that opportunity for you to have this budding, beginning, intimate relationship with yourself got taken away from you. And it has to do with your emotions. So maybe, I think what happened to you, if we look at our clarifiers here, when you were younger, you tried to open up that Pandora's box. I always call this, like, this is the Strength card. The Strength card is not about our physical strength at all. The Strength card is a major arcana card, and it's a powerful universal force here that we all have. And it's the strength to go inwards. Now, obviously, when you were younger, it wasn't like, you were aware of this strength that you had to go inwards. But this whole thing around getting to know who you were and being comfortable with your emotions and being able to use your emotions and feel your emotions, because that's how we get to know ourselves. You weren't allowed, and the next card tells me why you weren't allowed. So you weren't allowed when you were younger to start this beginning relationship with yourself by going inwards and feeling your emotions, all of them. And I always look at that this card is opening up that Pandora's box of those emotions and allowing them just to come out. Well, something happened here where you got shut down and you shut down your own emotions. And the Six of Swords, which is the next card that comes out for me. Notice how this individual is taking this it looks like, it could be a feminine figure, but it's an adult figure, I'm going to say, with a child. And she's cloaked, right? She's cloaked in some sort of maybe fear or needing some protection here. And, right beside her is this little child that's just clinging to her, who's wanting to be protected as well. He's taking her to safer waters. I like to call him my gondolier man, right? He's taking them for this ride. And you can see the rough waters in the corner. And then over here, we've got like this smooth waters here. He's taking them to safety. And so this tells me that when you were younger, you were not in a safe environment where you were able to express your emotions. And when we're not allowed to express our emotions when we're younger, we feel like we just don't matter. And that's where that unworthiness comes from. I talked about bullying I got the impression the Five of Swords was sitting here, like I said, and maybe it'll come out. Maybe you were in an environment where you were bullied, you know, literally physically bullied sometimes, and maybe at school you were bullied, or as an adolescent you were bullied, and maybe you had a controlling environment where it's like, don't you dare touch those emotions. And you know, so many of us are told to put those emotions away when you're younger, called a crybaby, whatever it is, you know. And we just put them away. We're not allowed to use them. I know my own anger I was not allowed to touch, and that was in my healing journey. My anger, which was really pushed down and repressed in my system, is something that I continue to work on so that I can get out at the people that I need to get angry with, and I do that in my journaling. And so yeah, and right now when you're having all these emotions that are coming up that are centered around, you know, you taking off your mask and you know, trying to figure out who you are here, well, you've got this, which is going to, by the way, involve, you know, maybe a lot of emotions coming up too as well, especially when you were told when you were younger that you couldn't be you weren't allowed to use your emotions. And so you've got this controller part that's going, don't you dare! Don't you remember what happened to you when you were younger, when you tried to use your emotions? You got shut down, and it's telling you that don't do this because this is going to happen again, because it lives in fear, a controller. So what guidance does the tarot have for you so you can begin? You know, maybe you need to calm this controller down and say, listen, I need to feel these emotions. And so you have the Nine of Pentacles. That's your first card that comes out for guidance from the tarot. And then the Nine of Pentacles is a beautiful card. It comes right after the Eight, and the Eight talks about doing something that we're very passionate about. And the Nine of Pentacles is saying, you know, here's this card that you're going to commit to. There needs to be a real commitment on your part. It's like, what are you willing to commit to now? You know, here you are wanting to peek out and find out who you are. You have got to commit to doing this. Opening up your heart means you have to commit to looking at where this pain is that has caused you to block it, to close your heart in the first place. And there's some commitment that's needed on your part. You know, we tend to open it and then close it, and open it and close it, kind of like that Pandora's box I talked, right? We open up that Pandora's box and we close it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard people say, you know, I tried to open that up and I just shut it right down. There's no way I'm dealing with those again. I've shut them all down. Or you've sworn off healing. You've sworn off feeling. And so time for you to commit yourself, Gemini, to what this is that you want to do. Nine of Swords comes out sideways. And the Nine of Swords talks about this individual that is, you know, waking up at night. It's like he's waking up to a nightmare. He's you know, they're getting all these, not necessarily all these swords talk about, like I said, our mental energy and our things that we're hearing. So maybe you're right now having some sleep issues. Maybe you can't get to sleep at night. You can't fall asleep. There's just things that are spinning in your head. Maybe you're waking up at 3, 4 in the morning and can't get back to sleep. You know, I've had nights like that but I know now that when that happens to me, I'm not kidding, last week, I couldn't fall asleep, and I went to bed like fairly early because I knew the night before I didn't sleep that well. So I thought, I gotta sleep well tonight, right? And I couldn't fall asleep. And so I went, my controller's out. There's something here when I can't sleep well, when I have issues with my sleep, I always know my controller's out, and that means it's blocking something here. So what is it? What's being blocked with you? There's something coming up here. There's a memory. I always call this the card that talks about there's a memory coming up. There's something that you need to know based on, you know, what maybe something when you were younger, when you tried to express your emotions, and you know, what happened? What did they do? What did they say to you? And so there's something here that's coming up for you, and it's sideways because I'm not sure you realize that, you know, there is a memory that is related, centers around this, you know, you kind of shutting down your emotions. And the last card that comes out is a Fool card, a beautiful card. It doesn't come out often in my readings, but when it does, it's like, you need to listen to this, because the Fool card in an upright position says, it's time for you to jump. It's time for you to take this leap of faith that if I jump into this, you know, this Pandora's box, these emotions, and if I commit to feeling these emotions that are coming up in my system right now, and then I'm going to jump into it and have faith that, like a child would, when they're not afraid to do things. They're not afraid to try things, right? When you were younger and you tried to show your emotions, you were shut down. But now it's a different situation. You're an adult now and you can feel these emotions and you can open up that Pandora's box. And the universe is saying, I want you to have faith here. I want you to take that leap of faith. Right now it's in reverse because, you know, we talked about your controller being out saying, no, don't you dare go there. And I think there's a lot of fear still on your part that, you know, I don't know if I should do this. Just a lot of fear. So I'm going to leave you with a playlist on how to process your emotions, or it's either a playlist or a video, I forget, but it just you know, tells you a little bit about how to process your emotions, how to get in touch with some things that are coming up for you right now. And yeah, I want you to have compassion for yourself, Gemini, for what you're working through right now. This is healing. The healing journey is the most difficult journey of your life, but it's the most important one. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.